Hello everyone, this is Phoenix24 and this is my Series 14 slash Season 1 episode reordering. I did do a video previously for this for Flux, the Phoenix cut, where I reordered the episodes of Series 13, but in that case, because the series was serialized, I had to chop up the actual content of the episodes into a new sequence, whereas this time I'm doing it exactly as it aired, just putting them on in a different order. So in theory, you could actually do this order yourself at home. The first change I would make is I would add the 4 specials into the actual runtime of the series, so it goes up to 12 episodes rather than 8 and 4 separates. The reason for this partly is because it gives this series more room to breathe, but also because the 60th anniversary does involve the Celestial Toymaker and the origin of the gods that will later become part of the series. I think it just works better as a complete set. It's like how the Great Intelligence is part of the Snowmen and Bells of St. John. It works better as a sequence, as an arc of a villain. So those 4 episodes are going to be in there. There's not much I could really do to tamper with the audience because obviously the content of the stories happens in a certain order, but those 4 will be in that order. That means that episode 1, Space Babies, becomes episode 5. Again, there's not much I can do there because it's very much an origin story of the Doctor and Ruby's friendship, so that has to really sit in that place after Church on Ruby Road. But putting it in episode 5 makes it more of a Slitheen story, a Taranga Conundrum story in episode 5, so I think that placement is an improvement already. Episode 6, I'm moving down the Devil's Chord, and I'll sort that out later, mainly because there was a lot of criticism on airing, and I think still on replay it makes a lot of sense that the Devil's Chord goes later, so I will sort that out later. And I'm simply going to move Boom up to position 2, or in this case position 6. Reasoning for this is that there will be other stories with alien planets, and I think it's important that Ruby's first experience of an alien planet happens early on in the series, so that is now episode 6, or episode 2 in the runtime of the 8. It also gives us a good point of performance from Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson that cements their relationship early on in the story. Next on to position 7, and I'm going to move up Rogue quite far here. Rogue is going to be the next position, partly because it sets a bit more of a normal precedent. It's not so many wacky things happening at once. Other than the story of the alien birds, the Childer, I think it's a fairly normal story, and I feel like it's an odd change of pace further down the series. This would be more of a cement of what the series styles could be like as a normality, which I think was lacking from the series, was a sense of normality. I think that works nicely in the 3rd position, or in this case the 7th position. And also I think putting it as the pre-finale makes you believe that it might have something to do with the finale, something like the Master's reveal in Utopia. And knowing that Rogue, at least for the time being, isn't relevant to the series yet, or maybe won't be at all, it makes sense to have him at the beginning of the series where there's less expectation for that connection to the finale. So that gets moved up. Position 8 is Dot and Bubble. Reasoning for this is this sort of the how I see as the modern day Earth political story, sort of like the Slitheen taking over number 10, or something like Arachnids in the UK. It's the closest we have to a modern day Earth story, although I do understand that it is taking place on an alien planet, but given that it's filmed at Wales University campus, it just feels like a more down-to-earth story that fits well in the between the middle and the second third of the story. So Dot and Bubble goes in position 8. Position 9, we finally have the Devil's Chord, partly because I think just having something wacky in the final quarter of the series fits better, and I think the story of the Devil's Chord, with it being a dark story, something that the Doctor has more difficulty facing, I like that it has a bit more behind it now, with more stories going before it. The darkness doesn't... I feel sometimes in the Devil's Chord, the darkness and the difficulty of the story is overshadowed by the fact it happens so early on, and we haven't faced that many enemies yet, so having it further down the listing works. And also the line where Ruby says that she is now placed in the timeline in June, so far from the previous story in Space Babies where it was only December. And also line from the Maestro where they say the one who waits is almost here. I think that is far more powerful if it is closer to the one who waits actually arriving. So Devil's Chord goes in position 9. That leaves position 10 to be 73 yards. This is mainly because I find it similar to Turn Left, or perhaps something like Utopia, where the story of Roger Ap Gwilliam and the DNA testing is very important to the finale. I think it makes sense to put it in that position, and also the connection of 73 yards being the distance from the camera of Ruby's mother. I think it just works as a setup for the finale, and I think the details of 73 yards that are connected to the finale would be more obvious to the audience if it is closer in the runtime. And of course, finally, Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death remain as they are in the finale positions. This, to me, feels more natural as a runtime, particularly in the Rusty Davies previous orders of things like Series 4, Series 2, even Series 1. I think it matches more the style that we're used to in terms of the sequential running of the stories. I've tried to make sure that the settings are varied. For example, you have Rogue and Devil's Chord as your historicals, broken up by a semi-futuristic, semi-modern day story like Dot and Bubble. Just trying to keep the settings spaced out as much as I can, and keeping the story content matching in the correct order. So, for example, Boom is a first visit to alien planet, so I can't have any visits to an alien planet happening before that. So it all theoretically would work continuity-wise. It's just making sure that the tone is set in the right places for what I feel they should be for Series 14. So let me know in the comments what you think about this order, if you'd make any changes yourself. And a reminder that given this is my final year on YouTube as Phoenix24, I am running my Ask Me Anything video, which I will be uploading fairly soon now. So if you have any questions to ask me anything, drop them in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook also. Send me your comments there, and I will do the Ask Me Anything quite soon now towards the end of the year. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.